Hello everyone, Alzion the Great here, and welcome finally to League of Legends Manager on MOBA GM. This series is weeks overdue. I am incredibly excited to bring it to you, as I have not only got everything I need for this stupid microphone that you're hearing me talk into right now, but I have the time. What else was I missing? Oh yeah, I chose a team. It's what you see here. I have chosen SI Gaming as my roster to start for this series. The main teams that I was looking to pick here were Jade Crown, Crimson Moon, and maybe the Imperial Masons. I did not choose Jade Crown because they already have, four pretty young, pretty good starters, all with very high potential in, already. So I decided to, I think that was a bit too easy for next year, for like the second year of the series. As far as Crimson Moon, yeah, I was sitting on them for a while, and pretty much regardless of what happened, I had not planned to re-sign Southern. But yeah, they still have plenty of good starters, and even then they don't really have much what's it called, controversy as far as who is starting. As for the Imperium Aces, the reason I did not choose them, I think Noble, especially with his contract, would be far too easy to build around. So that is why I did not choose them. I have chosen SI Gaming, mainly because they have a lot of people that are old, as well as, pretty much to their maximum overall. Sours and Jirian, Kirchhoff, as I will introduce you to the rest of the team in a minute, they are all at max, all right now they've reached their potential right now. And that, it kind of just incentivized me to say, yeah, this team needs a rebuild right now, and we're going to go with them. But first, let's meet the team. In the top lane will be Phil Sours Bernstein. He's a 20-year-old with a contract through 22, 66 overall, and 66 potential. Sours should be the starting top laner for the entirety of his contract, pretty much. Why are you doing that? Stop. The entirety of his contract, pretty much through 2022. And I think he'll be good, but he's not going to get much better. In the jungle, you have Ki-Hun and Jirian Bang. And Jirian being a name generated by the game, I just decided to keep it in here this time. He's a 27-year-old Korean whose contract expires in 2020. I'm expecting him to retire at the end of the season, but there's all the possibility in the world that he is not. And yeah, he's not supposed to be here for very long. In the mid lane, we have Brandon Kirchhoff Kitchen. He's a 20-year-old in the US, obviously. His contract expires in 2021. And he's already reached his potential 3 years into his career, roughly, or at least for when this would start. In terms of his skills, he's very aware, and he has really good positioning, but his laning stats could use some work, and also his team fighting is not the best. So I think he's a bit skewed in his stats. As far as our AD carry, I think the guy who has potentially the best starting potential on this roster is Zach Rounder Frazier, who is also 20, but his contract expires at the end of this season, which is, a little bit scary. He's 54 overall with 77 potential, the only guy on the team, or on the starting roster not to reach potential, I think, don't quote me on that. But his mental stats are all pretty good. His tactical stats once again, a little bit lacking laner and not super good at team fighting. But he has decent positioning, he has good positioning already, he can land his skill shots. I'd say he doesn't have the stamina really, or injury resistance. Not that I hardly ever see injuries in this game. I don't think I've seen an injury before. But I have seen some players step in for a couple games where I usually don't think they would, so maybe there is the possibility for injuries in this game. But Rounder should be a player that we build around for the next few years if we re-sign him at the end of the season, of course we want. On our roster, as our starting support, is Tony Cider Jones, the 25-year-old. His contract expires at the end of 2020, as this game is starting off in 2019 preseason, as you can see at the top. Not a good laner at all, but I guess he is a support, so you don't necessarily need to have the last hitting stats or good laning to be there. He's very he's very injury resistant, which is helpful, I guess, but it doesn't really matter. But yeah, Cider, I don't know how long he'll be the starting support. We could look to replace him at free agency next, like start free agency this year. But yeah, not exactly sure how long Cider will be. And here we get into our backups. In the top lane, David Q-Man Wash. The 20-year-old's contract expires at the end of this season. He's 50 overall with 71 potential. He's kind of in the same situation as Rounder. He could be a really good starter, but his contract expires at the end of this year. He's actually a decent laner, with his team fighting, not being the best. But Q-Man, if he resigns with us, which I'm not exactly sure if he will, we do have, he does have the potential to be a really good player in his career. Although his career is pretty much in the middle right now of his 20 years of age. As our backup jungler, we have Lee Yuyan, Parise, he is called. He's a 24-year-old from Taiwan, whose contract expires at the end of this year. I doubt we'll be re-signing him, not only because he's 24 and his contract expires at the end of the year, but also it's going to take a while, to get him not only, to learn English, but also to, become better, if he even has a chance to become better. As he's already 51 overall with 51 potential, which means he's reached his potential. He's going to be, that's pretty much the best, unless he gets a pretty good year off. Yeah, I don't really see us starting Parise anytime during this series. And then we get into our actual rookies and our prospects. In the mid lane, Jordan Scalibur Petty. His contract, though, expires at the end of the year. With 88 potential and 49 overall, he is definitely a project to work on. But if we do manage to re-sign him, and he does jump up in overall, he could, very well be the next big mid laner in this league. But yeah, he's only 18, he has all the potential in the world right now. Still could use better laning and team fighting and last hitting, as they're all 0. But I don't really put too much emphasis on overalls. Or, not overalls, specific ratings. I put a lot of stuff on overalls, because that's how I really run these games. There's not really too much to say about individual skills. I don't think I've seen an individual skill really matter in my simulations, but maybe that's just me, not paying attention. At support, we have James Flipper Ricketts, and he is our first prospect actually signed through a considerable amount of time, as his contract ends in 2022. The 18-year-old is 43 overall with 99 potential, not 49 potential. He definitely has the potential to be one of the best supports, and probably the best support in the league, but he's just 43 overall to start off, which means he's not going to start this year, pretty much regardless, unless, we're knocked out of playoffs with 5 games left. Then I might start, the prospect and see what potential we have there already. But yeah, Flipper, he has all the potential in the world. It's just the question is always with these guys with 99 potential, will they reach it? Because one thing I've noticed while playing this game, most of the time, they don't really reach that potential. I don't think I've seen a player go up to 99 overall. And the highest actually I've seen jump has been up to, I think, 83, which is still pretty good. But that took him like 4 years to do that. But hopefully for us, Flipper realizes his potential next year. And our last player is Flipper's brother, Joey CJL Ricketts, who also has all the potential in the world, 40 overall and 99 potential, obviously. He has 2 for his laning, so we obviously know where he could improve. Also 0 in combining in last inning, but that seems to be, you know, a kind of low trait for everyone on our team. And CJL, with his brother, obviously all potential in the world. Both their contracts expire at the same time. They're both 18, and both their contracts expire through 2022. So we will, you know, be able to see how well CJL and Flipper do in their season. In the season, you know, leading up. But I'm not sure if either will start, you know, soon. I don't know if either will start this year. Most likely they will not. Although I think Flipper could, you know, eventually come in with Cider not being the highest overall. That's only a 5-point difference. So I think Flipper is the closest of our prospects actually ready to start. And you have now met the team. Our highest rated player is Sours at 66 overall. Our lowest rated starter would be the aforementioned Cider. But yeah, SI Gaming is going to have to do... They're going to have a pretty big miracle season if we're going to make the playoffs, in my opinion. I don't really think we're going to. So, yeah, I think we have, you know, we have some strengths. I think Sours has the, like, I think he has, with him being the highest rated, he could obviously, you know, be the guy to mainly go through this season in terms of carrying, but I think Rounder has carry potential. Traits, also, I haven't really gone over the traits. Traits don't really mean a whole bunch. Everyone has traits, because everyone's, you know, it's a custom roster. The game, if the player has traits, they're usually pretty good. But, yeah, everyone has traits. So don't worry about if your players have traits. But that is the roster. The next thing I want to go over before we go into our first game is the meta. Now, if we just go into Edit Champion Patch, this is what the you know, base game champion patch comes out as. This is the, like, whenever you load a new game, it gives you this patch very specifically every single time. There is no change. It always loads with this one. This patch is very interesting. It has 2 really big things that you need to pick, which is Aurelian Soul in the mid lane and Scion in the top lane. But yeah, not every single champion's in this game, by the way. Well, like as compared to current Blue League, not every single champion. It stopped at Helios, I want to say. I don't recall if Set was released after. It stopped kind of. But here are the metas. In the top lane, it is Scion at 1. And luckily he's a flex pick. In metas, he can also go support. He's also 1 there. But the rest of the top laners are not that good at all. Like, they are really bad. 3 is like manageable, but still, there is those 2s, and it's really, really close. In terms of, I'd like to think that 2s have a chance in the meta, but 3s usually don't. But in this first starting meta, this is what we have to go with. I think the biggest picks in this meta are going to be flex picks. There's plenty for the top lane right now. In the jungle, we have, I think, 6 2s, which is Nunu, Rek'Sai, Shaco, Edir, Zhao, and Set. Set obviously a triple flex, can go into 3 positions and do them all pretty well. Don't know if I'll quick set a whole bunch this season, but we'll see. Yeah, my favorite jungler in this meta would be the Rek'Sai. I have a very specific strategy for this meta that usually works. But, I don't know how it's gonna roll. Am I in coach mode, by the way? We'll go to the regular season. I am. Okay. Yeah, the owner messages don't know that. But yeah, in the jungle, it's Rek'Sai that I mainly like to go for. In the mid lane, obviously the aforementioned Aurelion Sol is the #1. With Annie, Karthus, Katarina, Taliyah, Talon, and Set being all 2s. Karthus, although he can go top lane, it isn't really the best. Obviously, Set is, flex pick that can go there, but there is not a whole bunch of. I'm not really gonna change a whole bunch of my strategies in this season. Usually, it's Rek'Sai Annie, and I'm gonna pick Rek'Sai Annie in the first game. They ban Rek'Sai, but yeah, I like to go Annie in this meta. I usually don't get a Aurelion Sol. Usually, it's banned by the opposing team. If it's not, then I'll probably pick it up. But yeah, usually Asol will be banned out a lot. As far as the AD carry tier list, no one is really that good. As unfortunately, my personal favorite AD carry in this game, Lucian, is a 5/5, which is very bad. But Draven would be the top AD carry, which is I don't like that. So Draven's top AD carry. You heard that bird. Anyway. MF is also having the capability. MF and Senna also have both capability of doing support. Which, speaking of support, it's not a very good meta, besides Sion, obviously. But yeah, mostly 3s in this. I think getting a good jungle and getting Sion can really help. Also, is Twitch still there? Yes, Twitch can go in the jungle. I utilize that sometimes, but mostly as an AD. Yeah, that is the meta. And I think it is now time for our first game. So, welcome to the draft. I will not be drafting a whole bunch this season. I don't really plan on it. I don't really want to. If we get to the playoffs, which I don't think we're going to do this season, we will most likely be drafting most of those. So we are facing off against actually a team I would have selected for this season, Jade Crown Gaming, with Type 0 in the top lane, Speedy Sanders Friesen, otherwise known as SS, in the jungle, Bomb in the mid lane, Flamus at AD carry, and Solitaire at support. Yeah, but I would do this live, but honestly I feel that I need to talk a whole bunch to do this, so I just talked to myself a whole bunch while I'm doing this, because I really like the meta. I also change screen a whole bunch, so I will be back once we have completed the draft. Alright, so here's how the draft went. I know it could be a little bit confusing, but first 3 are bans, then picks, 2 bans, then 2 picks. So they banned out Asol and Sion, the 2 big meta picks, as well as Shaco. I banned Blitzcrank, Draven, and Elise. I don't like Blitzcrank and Annie. I just don't like Draven, period, but also Draven is the best AD carry, and I wasn't ever thinking of going Draven anyway. And then Elise countered Rek'Sai. I picked Annie. Fortunately, they insta-locked Galio, which will definitely be in my next draft, especially if I'm going to go Annie, as Galio counters Annie. I responded with Rek'Sai Aatrox, or they picked Galio and Rammus, by the way, so I picked Rek'Sai Aatrox, then they picked Jace, which does not counter Aatrox, thankfully. Aatrox is the best top laner available besides Sion, obviously. Then I banned out some complete carries, they banned out Shen and Janna. Then they picked Morgana, I picked counter to Morgana in this game, which is Zyra. And then I picked Kalista because Kalista was the best AD carry available. And they ended up picking Miss Fortune, who was the next best AD carry available, who also counters Kalista. So, I think I could have done better. I think I could have done a little bit better. I haven't drafted for this meta in a while. But, oh, not mean to do that. But, yeah, so let's see if we can win our first game. We do not. We lose to Jade Crown Gaming to start off. Although Kirchhoff did pretty darn good in terms of his kills, anyway, against Bomb's Galio. Galio counterpick still worked. The Rammus worked in the jungle for SS. And pretty much we just had a bad game all around. But regardless, that is the first game in the history of SI Gaming. So I'd like to thank you all for watching this first episode, this finally debuted episode. You can see everyone in the standings. And thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time.